Hi, hello, how are you? You're listening to I've Always Said That with your host, Brad. This is Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 6, Episode 12. Alright, so we start the episode with our fave, Bronwyn, picking up our not-so-fave, Todd, from the airport. And what does Bronwyn do when she picks up Todd from the airport? She wears these giant inflatable outfits that we've seen previously on the boat when her and Meredith threw off uni, which unleashed World War IV. And just in the past, she just has all these inflatable outfits for some reason. Anyway, so she's dressed as a giant sloth, picking up Todd from the airport. And Todd doesn't deserve this kind of treatment. Bronwyn is too good for him. He's just like, oh, hi, it's you. I'm like, have some sort of reaction, you actual piece of poo. Seriously. Anyway, they're driving back, and Bronwyn's filling him in on what's happened and everything. And she's like, I did what I told you not to do. You know how you said, don't stick your finger in the pie? He's like, you stuck your finger in the pie. And she's like, yeah, of course I did. Todd just decides to suggest a mass group apology. In what world is that going to happen, Todd? Just stay in your lane, and your lane is preferably not on my TV screen. Anyway, Bronwyn's like, I'm going to have a Spill the Tea Boston party to celebrate her citizenship. So the Boston Tea Party, I don't know, there's tea in the harbor or some shit. I'm not American. But just to kind of hash everything out. Justin and Whitney. They kind of sit there and it's like hella awkward silence for a long time. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this is not good. I saw a post recently. I don't know if this is like spoiler alert, but Whitney is like pretty much all but gonna divorce him. And she's gonna announce it at the reunion or something. I don't know whether that's true or it's just like a tabloid thing. But it's something that I've seen circling around on the interweb at the moment. And from this scene, it seems pretty true. They're just kind of sitting there and Whitney's like, I saw a large bank transfer come out of our account. And he's like, yeah, we kind of got to pay the money to people we owe. I'm like, yeah, that's usually how business works. But what's happened is Whitney has merged Wild Rose Beauty into a new entity. I don't really know the ins and outs of business and all that jazz. But it just hasn't gone well. Shit hit the fan, basically. And from the sounds of it, Justin kind of encouraged it. And Brittany's wanted him to be involved in her business, Wild Rose Beauty, for ages. Just like wanting him to like, have some input, like do something. And then this is what he's brought to the table. And she didn't want to do it, but she trusted him. So she's merged her business into this other thing. And it's just basically gone to absolute shit. Don't mix business and romance. I think that's my biggest advice coming from this. Why? I think that's the dumbest idea ever because it's going to hit the fan and then you're going to look at this person waking up in the morning every day and all you're going to see is that dollar amount leaving your account. Like, it's just like the stupidest idea. But anyway, they've done it. And I don't really understand the ins and outs of what's going on. But I think she's just trying to get out of it, fair enough, because it's just costing them a bomb. And I thought Wild Rose Beauty was pretty successful. So whatever they've merged with must have really fucked them over big time. And to say the least, it's putting a massive strain on their relationship. And I don't think they needed any more of a strain. They've always had issues like Whitney said in the past and they've worked through it and such. But this could possibly be a deal breaker, which I think they've been together for 10 fucking years. Because there's no housewives with partners anymore. So gotta keep it together. We check in with Heather and her eldest daughter, or maybe her middle daughter. I'm not sure. How many daughters does she have? 3? I can't remember. Heather and her daughter are making a Tampa bed for her last kid flying the nest and going to college in Tampa Bay, Florida. And I'm like, what? A bed? What is a bed party? They've basically decorated her bed and her room with like the Tampa Bay College flag, the colors, the mascot, and all that shit. And I'm like, this is the most American thing I've ever seen. Like, be so for real. Imagine if someone in Australia was like, woo, you go to University of Sydney. Yeah! It's like no one cares that much. It's like, cool. But like, Heather seems like a great mom. Like, it's really sweet. Like, the kid comes in, she gets really excited. And this, as I said, marks the last kid kind of flying the coop. So she's going to be an empty nester. And I don't know. I hope she thrives. Like, I really do love Heather, and I can tell that, like, raising her girls and putting her life all towards that after her and her husband separated has been a lot. So this is going to mark a brand new chapter in her life. And I hope she thrives. She deserves it. Back to Bronwyn, and basically she's talking about how they've passed a law in Utah where pride flags can't be flown on any government building. So what's she going to do? She's going to send out pride flags to anyone who wants one. And I'm like, yes, this is like actually fucking iconic shit. Standing on your word and meaning it, saying that shit with your chest. I think it's absolutely iconic. She's like, I've never worried about what people thought of me, so why should I start now? And then Muzzy's there, of course, and Muzzy's like, I think you should worry about what I think about you to a certain extent. And I'm like, Muzzy, shut up. Just absolutely shut up. However, then they're talking about her and Gwen and all that, and Muzzy actually says something nice. Can you believe it? Nice words came out of Muzzy's mouth. I didn't think that was actually possible. But she says she's been a great mum to Gwen and she should be proud. And Bronwyn's like tearing up, and fair enough, because I think it's the first genuine thing she's fucking said to her. She's like, obviously there was strain like between me, and then you've changed that for how you've raised Gwen. And I'm like, yes, and that's how we break the chain of generational trauma, babes. So I'm only seeing fucking massive green ticks for Bronwyn. I really stand this woman. Absolute icon, and if anyone fucking comes for her, I will be in her corner until she does something to piss me off. Actually, she needs to leave Todd. Then she'll be the absolute fucking icon that she deserves to be. Then I think she'll go to number one easily, without a doubt. Okay, so it's time for Bronwyn's Boston Spill the Tea. Spill the Tea, Boston Spill the Tea party. Whatever the fuck it's called. And everyone's going, so they're all getting ready and such. Brittany, Whitney, and Heather are in the car, and Brittany is talking about her chat with Meredith. And she's basically like, she only apologized for hurting her feelings, not for actually doing the things, but she's like, I'm sorry that your feelings were hurt. That's not an apology. This is what I said last week. Meredith is very tricky in her words, and she knows what she's saying. She doesn't actually give a fuck about Brittany's feelings. She just wants the whole thing to go away. Right? Yes. Once again, Lisa has a piss poor effort in a costume party. Like, she just doesn't give anything for someone who's like fairly fashionable and such. She just gives us absolutely fucking nothing when it comes to costume parties. Like, they're all like, what's the time period? Like, Boston, like old-timey sailor shit. I don't know what the time period is, but you know what I mean. You got that from that description, right? Right. They've all got like their wigs on and everything and their coats. They look great. Well, most of them look great. Lisa's wearing like a slightly puffy shirt. I don't know what the fuck Meredith's wearing. It's like futuristic, but also past. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. Bronwyn has provided wigs for everyone, so they all get to wear wigs. And I'm like, oh my god, yay, I can't wait to see them yell at each other with wigs on. This is great. Mary arrives like a little bit later, and she's bought her own wig. She's like, I'm not wearing that. I got my own wig. Pulls her own wig out of her jacket. I'm like, okay, sure. In confessionals, they do like a knowledge test of like American stuff, like American history, the Constitution and all that shit. And they all fail except Bronwyn, because obviously Bronwyn's just studied for it. But I mean, like, it makes them look so terrible. But if you ask me, or if you ask like the general Australian to name shit about Australia, we wouldn't fucking have a clue either. So like, I get it. Bronwyn wants them all to write something they have spilled tea about. Write someone they have spilled tea about, and then throw the tea into the metaphorical tea into the metaphorical ocean. I'm like, this is gonna cause shit. Did they learn nothing from? Where were they when they were like going around reading out the worst messages they have sent about someone? It's just that part 2, the remix. So I don't understand how she thinks this is a good idea, but I love it. I'm all here for it. I can't wait to see what happens. Angie goes first, and she spills tea about Lisa not actually buying a horse. And I was like, sorry, random, but I guess we got to start somewhere. Lisa has bought a horse, and she's like, well, I didn't need to tell you everything. Again, so defensive, so quickly off the bat. I'm like, just take a fucking breath. It's chill. Brittany said she wants to know. She said she hasn't spilt the tea about anyone. I'm like, that's fucking ridiculous. You know you spilt the tea about Meredith and Seth. So just fucking write that and call it a day. But no, she says she wants to know who spilt the tea to Jared about her flirting with Joelle and the other people on the below deck boat. And Mary's like, oh my God, not Jared. Like, no one fucking cares, Mary. I mean, Brittany, whatever your fucking name is. Heather says Bronwyn. And she brings up the Todd making out and farting. And she's like, is it too soon to make a joke about you not laughing about that? And I'm like, I think she should be laughing about that. But Bronwyn is like stone cold faced. Throw the fucking box over. I don't find it funny at all. I'm like, oh, geez. I'm like, babe, lean into it. Like, it is funny. I think because she is genuinely having these issues with Todd at the moment, that it's just like another thing that she doesn't need to be worrying about. So it's just like pushing her closer and closer to the edge. I'm like, ooh. Big yikes, big yikes. Bronwyn goes next and says Whitney, and of course about telling Meredith about what she said at their lunch with the possible drinking, like substance abuse issues. And Meredith's like, you should have called me. If you actually had that much of an issue with what I was doing and how I was behaving, you should have called me. And then Whitney says, you think I'm going to call a belligerent woman 2 days after we land? And Meredith like gets activated. I love when she gets activated. You can just see it in her eyes. And I'm like, oh, and now the plane's brought up and it's like, you're a liar, alcoholic, pill popper. And I'm like, oh my God, this is art. Someone paint this really quick. So then Meredith's like, I've got presents for everyone. What? This isn't even your event. Why do you have shit organized? So she goes off stage. She brings out all these little bags. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, okay. And they all get a bag. And it's a multi-drug urine test cup. What? She's bought them all drug tests. And at first I thought that these were all like her drug tests that she's taken. But no, these are drug tests that she wants them to take because she's like, if you're accusing me of that, then you're obviously the one on drugs. And I'm like, what? Meredith, I think you've missed the point here slightly, my love. And then Lisa chimes in, of course, defending Meredith, saying that Whitney's weaponizing her experience against Meredith. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, Lisa. Like, why are you getting involved? Heather gets like really upset, like, because Meredith's just fucking gaslighting her. She's like, Meredith, we were there. We saw it. You are saying that what I experienced isn't true. We all fucking saw it. You yelled at me. And it was like, no. She's like, no, we just didn't do that. Heather wants her to apologize for playing. And Meredith basically is just like, look, there's no resolution, so we should just move on. And I'm like, I thought we had a resolution, but now it's brought up again. So there's going to bring it up again at some point soon. I'm sure when they're in Greece next episode or something. Like, absolutely. Bronwyn has a dress reveal for some reason. And it's got like the Constitution down her dress. And she said, we're going to make friendship amendments. And of course we fucking are, Bronwyn. I'm sure. So they start off nice. They start with like, families are off limits. Be a woman of your word. Like, cherish each other. All that shit. And then gets to Meredith and she's like, stop with the reactive abuse. And I'm like, what? You're not the victim here, Meredith. I don't understand. Oh. And everyone's just kind of like, oh, well, that's been ruined. Okay, cool. Anyway. And that kind of just like wraps up the episode. I'm like, there was just like a lot of nothing, a lot of arguing about things that we feel that I think it was just like a filler episode until we go to Greece, basically. And they needed a bit of drama, so they rehashed the plane thing, which still hasn't been solved. I don't really quite understand it, but anyway. But the main thing I've gotten from this episode is that they're going to Greece next week. And I'm so excited for that because I just know that it's just going to be an absolute international shit show. And I can't wait to see it. I would probably give this episode, I mean, it was a fairly slowish episode. I'd give it a 61. Let's go with 61%. Yeah, that's what I think that's fair. Let us know your thoughts, feelings, emotions about the episode. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at iboys.pod. This has been Brad for, I've always said that, for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Thank you, you're welcome. Love you. Bye.